Mr. Silver, you just bought yourself a champion.
Hey! You suck,
Hello. Hi, Sean.
Hi, guys. How are you? Hola.
Hey, Sean.
Hey.
We are good. Fantastic. How are you, man?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me on.
John, me gustaría saber cuándo empezaste a sentir interés por el mundo del entretenimiento.
When I was probably about 15 years old, I began thinking that I wanted to become an actor. When I was in college, I was studying political science, but knew that I wanted to move to Los Angeles at some point to pursue acting professionally.
You chose to play for Mike Barnes, right? In Karate Kid 3.
Right.
A film directed by Sean Adlinson. How did you get that role? That's basically...
So there was an open call, which means anybody who wanted to try out for the role could try out for it. I showed up at the studio and I waited in line with probably 2,000 people. And John Avildsen was there and he was walking up the row of all the people and eventually stopped in front of me and asked me to do a quick improv with him, which I did. And he said, I believe that. And he sent me inside the studio where there was Ralph Macchio, and I did a scene with Ralph. And eventually I won the role.
Y una vez que ingresaste al elenco de Karate Kid, ¿qué sentiste al saber que serías parte de una película de culto dirigida por el ganador de un Oscar? ¿Qué sentiste?
Did he say I got fatter since I did the Karate Kid?
He should say, what did you feel when you was convocated to work in a movie that was a cult movie, right? In that moment.
Oh,
like
I guess I completely misunderstood.
Yeah.
You know, I had watched the first two films, The Karate Kid and The Karate Kid 2, in the theaters. I mean, I was a fan. And so when I began working on the film, you know, it was a very surreal experience, but I had to get over that very quickly because, you know, I had a job to do. How did I prepare myself for the movie?
Yeah, basically, could you tell us how you should prepare your scenes, but particularly with Ralph Macchio, and how was sharing the set with Pat Morita, right? With Miyagi.
Well, you know, I grew up watching Pat Morita in Happy Days, the American TV show Happy Days. So for me, I already knew who he was before The Karate Kid. It was great working with both of them. You know, as far as the martial arts, I had studied martial arts for years. And once I joined the cast of the movie, everybody trained with Pat Johnson, who was the choreographer, the trainer. He trained all of us for the fight scenes. As far as, you know, the acting scenes, I had an acting coach that I worked with. And, you know, John Avildsen had, you know, some very specific ideas of what he wanted in the scenes as well. So I had a lot of input from a lot of people.
Después fuiste nominado como actor revelación. ¿Qué nos podés contar de tu paso por The Outsiders y General Hospital?
Okay, what were the steps that brought me to being on The Outsiders and General Hospital?
Yeah.
So after I finished Karate Kid 3, I received an audition for the television series The Outsiders, which was being produced by Francis Ford Coppola. It was based on the very successful film, which Ralph Macchio also happened to be in the film The Outsiders. And I originally auditioned for one of the roles of the greasers, which were the you know, the poor kids, the outsiders, and they felt that I looked a little too clean cut for that. So General Hospital. So my dear friend Steve Burton, who played Jason Quartermain, told me that they were looking for an actor to play his brother. And Steve Burton and I have a very strong resemblance physically to one another. We look a lot alike. And so he suggested me, and I went in and I screen tested for the role, and I got it.
Bien. John, en noviembre del 2000 te uniste al elenco de The Bold and the Beautiful, que creo que es otro papel importante en tu carrera. ¿Crees que hay algo que te conecta en especial con ese personaje?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting character, Deacon Sharp. He's what I consider an anti-hero. He's done a lot of very bad things, but he also, deep down, I think, has a good heart. I guess what I do is I think about what if I was put in some of those positions, how would I react? How would I overcome some of those challenges? I'm very fortunate that on Bold and the Beautiful, they give me a tremendous amount of latitude to really put my own personal stamp on the character, which is really beneficial to making the character the very best that it can be. I've played this character off and on since 2000. So I think the best way that I could describe it is that as the character of Deacon Sharp has evolved, I've evolved, as a man, as an actor. And hopefully if I'm doing my job properly, I'm bringing that evolution to the work.
John, además de ser actor y productor, también sos escritor. Escribiste varios libros. ¿Qué te motivó a convertirte en escritor?
I think for me that I get different satisfaction from different parts of my career. Acting satisfies the part of me that loves to perform. Writing satisfies the part of me that likes to really inspire people and help them live their best lives. That's what my books do. They are motivational self-help books based on philosophy and strategy that I've used in my life to achieve some of my success and to overcome some of my challenges. From producing, I have the opportunity to take something from the embryonic stage, from the very beginning, the genesis, and see it all the way through to the fruition of being, an actual filmed project. And that's very, it's very fulfilling because, as an actor, you're really waiting for someone else to give you a job most of the time. And I find that to be a very disempowering position. And so for me, I decided I wanted to go out and try and create my own vehicles so that I would have, I don't like to use the word control because it has a negative connotation, but I would have more constructive and creative input in the projects that I'm working on.
It looks like you understand in Spanish. Sean.
Well, I mean, I speak Italian. And so I can understand the gist of it.
I love the words are related. Yeah,
I miss the subtleties, but I can kind of understand the big picture.
So, Sean, the premiere of Cobra Kai in 2018 was revolutionary, right?
Absolutely. We pick up with these characters that everybody loved, and we see where they are 30 some years later. And like most people, they've changed, they've evolved, they've grown in some ways. In other ways, they continue to remain stuck. They're very human. I love the fact that Cobra Kai has so much humor in it. It's very funny at its core, I think. And for me, I'm incredibly honored that I had the opportunity to participate in how do you say the quinto temporale?
Muy bien, very good, very good. What is interesting in Cobra Kai? I remember the first season.
Yeah.
When switch, right?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Because Daniela Russo in Cobra Kai season 1 is a kind of
different,
right? It's the other side. It's like the upside down, and that switch that they make with the script, I think that was so cool.
Yeah, I think that's the genius of the show, that they put forth the hypothesis that maybe Johnny Lawrence was the one who was being bullied.
Yeah.
So very interesting, right?
Totally agree.
John, ¿cómo fue tu preparación para ingresar al universo de Cobra Kai? ¿Cómo te preparaste para ingresar en esta temporada?
I have to tell you why I thought you said I put weight on because in Italian, ingrassare means to get fat. You say ingressare. Ingressare is different. I've continued with my martial arts, so I was able to sort of pick up where I left off there, and I'm very fortunate because I've continued working as an actor pretty steadily since the Karate Kid 3. And so by the time they called me to join the cast of Cobra Kai, I was ready. I was ready to get in the game. So it was interesting. I've known Billy Zabka since about 1988, but I've never had the chance to work with him. And I've seen Ralph Macchio over the years occasionally, but it was really wonderful to reunite with Ralph and meet him now 30 some years later as an adult, to meet him as a man rather than, the young kid I was when I did the Karate Kid 3, meet him as a guy. We're both fathers now. We're both have been acting in the business now for decades. And it was really nice to, I think, ignite a new friendship.
Totally. So it's another level of conscience, right?
Yes,
Basically.
absolutely.
¿Vamos a volver a verte en la temporada 6 de Cobra Kai?
Tell the truth, man. Tell the truth.
Queremos saber.
He's waiting for this.
Honestly, guys, I don't know. They haven't even announced if season 6 is happening. Now, we all think it's going to, of course. But, there's been no official announcement yet. So let's let them announce if the show is coming back before we even get to whether or not we see Mike Barnes again. But, fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, totally. But, I mean, all the indicators of the screen and how the last season finished point to the same place, I think. I think you will be there.
Let's hope so. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. It really was. It was one of the very best professional experiences that I've had working on Cobra Kai. So I would love to do it again.
So you like soccer, Shen?
Soccer still isn't as big in America as it is in Latin America. And
I know. That's why I ask.
Not really, but I think little by little, I'm starting to like it a little more.
Okay,
you have to understand, Americans, we weren't raised with soccer. We didn't grow up. We didn't grow up playing soccer like you guys do.
No. I mean, you have football, right? American
football and baseball.
John, ¿estás al tanto de la canción Muchachos que se escuchó durante todo el Mundial?
It's a song that is in all the world, like for Argentina team, right? We won the World Cup soccer. That's a Muchachos. You know that song? Yeah.
No. Muchachos.
Mike fucking Barnes.